Hey guys, it's Scott. I want to stop at this point before we go too deep, and I want to tell you about a concept. We are not going to use a data dump. I do not want you to use a data dump when you get ready to go to the exam, okay? So if you don't know what a data dump is, it's basically what everybody else, the traditional kind of way, says you have to do. You have to write everything down, everything that's super important, write it down on one sheet of paper. So then you memorize it. So that when you go into the exam, what do you do? First thing they tell you to do is take your piece of paper, your blank sheet of paper, a notebook, and just spend the time dumping all this data that you piled in your brain. And that's the normal way, right? And so I do not want you to do that. I want you to use a data dump differently. And we're going to do it. It's a thing I call the evaporating data dump, and I'm going to teach you that, okay? So let's think about, like, if that sounds crazy to you, if you say, no, the first thing I think is like, I need this piece of paper with all this stuff on it. I need it because that's going to help me solve problems. Let me ask you, like, really? All that stuff that you put down and those details and everything you wrote down, like, that's going to help you solve these situational problems? No, it's not. It's not going to help you. What you're going to feel is that you're going to help you, but it's not really. It's going to waste your time, and it's going to change the way you prepare. And that's what I'm trying to get at, okay? So what we want to do is we want to understand that the exam is going to require a lot of information. And the traditional way of thinking about things with a data dump, like putting everything down, the mentality, if you think about it, take a pause a second, maybe pause this thing and think about after I say this, what kind of mentality is that saying? It's the mentality of hoarding and accumulation and non-confidence, really. It's saying that I don't have confidence in myself, in this knowledge, that I need to accumulate everything I know and hoard it all and write it down so that when I get in there, I have my security blanket, right? I don't have my brain. I got this piece of paper. I don't feel confident in me. I'm just a lowly vessel that needs this, right? So that seems to me like it's not confidence. It's not neural learning or anything else. It's a hoarding mentality. That's not what I want you to do. That's not why you're here. Because it's not just to pass this test. It's to get these skills to go on. So that's one side, hoarding mentality. Our mentality is to streamline and refine. Streamline and refine. Hoarding versus streamline and refine. So what do I mean by streamline and refine? When we start studying, which we're starting right now, I want you to have a blank sheet of paper. Our data dump starts right now. It's not going to be used on the exam. There's a couple things that we're going to strategically write down on the exam. The EVM template. Everybody's going to do that. EVM template. It has a purpose. It is useful. It is strategic. It helps you solve problems faster. You know you're going to use it. You dream and hope that you'd use the traditional data dump. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a sheet of paper. This is what the evaporating data dump concept is. We're going to start with a blank sheet of paper when we start studying. And as we go through, we're going to write things on this piece of paper that confuse us, areas that confuse us, questions that we have. Now, if you have my planner, I leave a section, a couple sheets for multiple versions of the evaporating data dump. This is our recording place where we say, this is what I don't understand right now. And you just start to fill it up. And you can see visually, these are the areas that I think I have weaknesses. And also, when you go through the exams and the simulators and the practice tests, you're going to find questions where you can repeatedly miss things. Those are the topics you want to write on your data dump. And so that directs your attention on what you need to focus on. And then when you do that, you're going to write down the little areas and you're going to ask yourself, do I feel confident that I could cross that out? And you start crossing it out. And so it's evaporating in a sense, right? You have all this information that you've accumulated your weaknesses. Normally, we just accumulate, and we don't solve the problem. So now we've accumulated our weaknesses and we methodically mark them out. It's evaporating, guys. And when it evaporates, it goes from just on the sheet to knowledge in our brain. And that's where everything's got to go. Knowledge in our brain. Because to be successful, we need to streamline and refine, because we don't need just data overwhelming us, filling the sheet. And like literally, I think people would take a jeweler's lens in here, write things down in micrometer size, and they'd look at everything. No. We want to go in with just the EVM template and maybe a couple different things that we have to have, but we want to be able to do it. So Some of you might not be convinced yet. Some might say, oh, the reason number 2, it's not that I don't need the data. It's that, it brings me comfort. It makes me feel more secure. I get stressful. I'm a bad test taker. I need it, Scott. I'm a bad test taker. I get nervous. You don't understand me, man. Because when I go into the exam, I'm going to get stressed. I'm going to start sweating. My brain's going to go blank. And I need this thing because this is my replacement reboot brain right here. And that's what I need. So some of you out there, is that what you're thinking? It's probably what a lot of you are thinking. But I got a solution for that. And let me tell you a story. All right. So I had heart surgery when I was 9. I got stabbed when I was 20. Different story, okay? Almost died on the second one. The first one was kind of bad, but the doctors took care of everything. It's cool. Going through those things made me not feel great about going to the doctor and getting blood taken, yearly. And the thing is, when you get your spleen taken out, when I got stabbed, I got my spleen taken out, you have to go and get blood taken and get shots and do all this other stuff to make sure that everything's clicking off good, right? And so when I would go in there after, even before I got stabbed, like getting blood taken, not fun. Not fun for me. Sweat. You think you're sweaty during the PMP exam? Dude, sweaty. Passing out, like white, clammy, just not good. And so, like in my early 20s, I was like, dude, I gotta overcome this somehow. And I tried man up and do it, but I found a guy. Who walked me through what he called exposure therapy or state-based learning, these kind of things. And that's the second thing, that you think this thing is going to give you comfort and is going to be your security blanket during the exam. It's not, man. What we need to do and what we're going to do from the beginning is, if you're a nervous person and you have bad things on the exam, okay, cool. It's not cool, but okay. Let's own it right now. And let's say the only way we're going to get through that is if we start exposing ourselves slowly right now, so that when we go into the exam, it's not that we've conquered our fear and we're now the most confident test takers in the world. No, we know how to handle it, okay? And we have gone through this situation before. We simulated the environment. We're a little bit braver, and we know that it's not the piece of paper that's going to hold us through. It's us, okay? And so what I want you to do, if you're in that second category of people that like tough test takers, I know a lot of you, I deal with you all the time, man. That's why we're here, is that I want you to set up the scenarios. I want you to put yourself in that state-based condition. Maybe you have your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend or partner or whatever say, hey, we're going to set up a sterile room, a quiet room, and this is your exam. I'm your proctor. Just play the game, man, and set it up and say, I can't rely on anything. I got to put myself in this situation. Go to the library and do it. Take another type of test. Do something where you can simulate the environment. Go to the testing center. No one says you can't go to the testing center before. Go to the testing center, get exposed. Hey, this is what it's like going to be when I walk in. Hell, you can do it multiple times. Just set it up. You can go walk through. Go walk through. This is what it's going to feel like, man. How do I feel right now? Palms are sweaty. That isn't good. But I can do this. And so you're setting yourself for this state-based learning, this exposure therapy where you're going in and looking at it. Do it a couple times. Walk through. Set up the environment. Go to the library. It's going to be quiet like there. Have a guy going, tapping his desk right next to you. Set yourself up so that you can build that confidence. So if we do those two things, our biggest thing is we want to get to knowledge, situational knowledge and confidence, so that we don't need these things. Okay? So we want to abandon that hoarding mentality, that knowledge hoarding mentality. And we want to go to streamline and refine mentality. That's from this point on, you're one of Scott's guys, streamline and refine. Okay? That's what we do. And the way we do that is we strategically on day one use our evaporating data dump. It'll start clean like this. It'll fill up and then it'll get clean again. And you'll go through revisions and revisions and revisions. And the cool thing is, once you start to check things off, man, it's like a boulder going downhill. It starts to build confidence. Boom, I nailed it. I nailed it. I know what I'm focusing on. I know what I'm focusing on. Choo, choo, choo. And you're going down this list and you're starting to build the confidence. And then you're paralleling that with state-based learning, putting yourself out there, okay? And going, hey, I know I'm nervous. I've got to go walk through the environment. I've got to go see what it's like. I got to talk to other students. I got to understand what I'm going to face so that when I get there, and I got to practice. I got to put myself in quiet, controlled situations so that I have something to reference when I go back. So this is just me stopping before we get into the content and helping you prepare, okay? Because it's not PMP excellence and mastery and all these things and success is not just understanding the information. It's preparing ourselves to succeed on the exam, okay? So you can do this. We've laid out a path. Follow the path. Evaporating data dump, state-based exposure therapy process. Use those things. If you need extra help, reach out directly to me, Scott at pmmasterprep.com. I answer every single one of my emails. Or reach out to my professors that work for us. Or reach out to your coach. We can help you. Let's do this.